honestly sought death during my sojourn upon the earth. I cannot die. My mission is to destroy the souls of men.
Welcome to the Conspiracy Corner. Today we're going to be covering a bunch of different things, all related to a super famous conspiracy theory, the man, the myth, the legend, Bigfoot. We're going to be talking a little bit about missing 411, maybe some giants, some actual Bigfoot evidence like the topic or like the title says. But before we jump into that, how's it going, guys? How's your week? What's going on? Any good conspiracy theories or finds this week we should know about? Things on your mind.
What about that UFO that they saw in California that was like looked so 1980s quality, like these
Steven
UFOs
Spielberg style, right?
Yeah,
that was like if you were watching like an 80s movie UFO, it'd be like, yeah, that's realistic. But
yeah, like Fire in the Sky.
Yeah, and there was so many videos of it. There were so many different angles and people that saw it. And did anybody read any good conclusion?
You know what it is? The aliens are in cahoots with Samsung, so that all the videos are terrible quality.
I had a thought about this because I went to a Dodgers game like a month ago, and I have seen where some people, I've seen like YouTube videos where some people have done like some choreographed drone stuff. Never saw it with my real eye until I went to that Dodgers game. After the game, up above the stadium, they were doing a 3D to your eye. I mean, it's a hologram. That's how you is that the right word? Hologram? That's what it was to your eye. I mean, it's just they make a 3D object and it would like rotate around.
Right.
You know, and then it would like morph into something else. And I saw that and I thought, wow, they've got to practice this. They got to practice it in the dark, probably. And then you think, you know, it's probably going to get more and more capable for people who have little startups. Like, let's do a startup. Let's get a bunch of those drones. Let's get the software. Let's do this. So when I'm seeing these things here lately, I've been thinking, are they drones? Are they people experimenting with stuff and then playing around with it? And it was so weird 80s like that. It's like, what if someone's just doing something to mess with people?
That's the only conclusion that I saw. Like in reading all the comments, I'm like, that has to be some sophisticated dronery, you know, like
it was odd that so many people saw it though.
Yeah.
Did you guys see, I don't know if it was in our thread, but there was another one where it was almost like, it wasn't quite dark or something, but there was like thousands of things and people were like,
that was part of it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
because that kind of looked like almost like a drone type thing, but creepy. If you didn't know what drones were, you'd be like,
yeah. Dave, when you were explaining that, imagine, so you know how they did the sphere, right? It's not like a screen. It's just like individual electric diodes, right? Imagine if they got that technology where they could do that on drones. You could create like a moving sphere and project anything and make it look like it's there.
Wow. Yeah.
What's just stopping them from slapping them to the bottom of a plane, right?
Well, I was telling my friend when we were watching that, he was blown away because he'd never even seen a video of it. And I was still blown away at this Dodgers game, right? And I was just telling him, I'm like, what we're watching right now is it's like the Nintendo, the 8-bit version right now. They've got like probably 2,000 drones up there. But when they put up 100,000 drones, it's going to be like looking at a TV screen up there with high fidelity, right? They're going to just
It's
the resolution is
sphere.
good.
It's the
Yeah.
sphere, bro.
It is.
It's
But
exactly.
they'll just whatever shape they want, you know. It's kind of crazy when you start extrapolating. So
Creepy.
yeah.
Did you guys
So-
see the interview that Tucker Carlson had this week with Casey Means,
No, who is
the
that?
surgeon? Bro, you guys need to go watch it. It's wild. It's stuff that like we already know about, like, you know, food being poisoned essentially, and like
Right.
big pharma, and you know, it's mind-boggling. And this dude is smart, dude. He's a surgeon from Stanford, like I said, and there's two of them. Who's the other one?
She's with his sister.
But those
Yeah,
type of things,
Callie.
those
Callie,
type of things depress me. Like,
I know it's a
because
mess.
it's like I can't change it, and you know, like I learn about it's similar to like I start looking at like the merits of being a vegetarian, and I start studying. I'm like, I can't learn this anymore. Like I can't change this.
It's okay. Just go read Jordan Peterson's stuff
Maybe-
on meat. You'll be all right.
I know, right? He's.
Carnivore
What
diet.
about? Did you guys see the plane full of doctors that were all
Yes.
cancer people that crashed?
Oh my gosh.
in Brazil? Yeah.
Yeah, that was sad.
And did you see the video of the guy explaining, like he pretty much, well,
They
they were
had-
saying it sounded like he had the cure.
Yep.
He's like going through all the T cell stuff, and wow. And the way that thing fell was like, it was like dropping a helicopter seed, you know, it's like, just
Yeah.
like weird. Like, how does it get into a corkscrew?
Yeah,
like
for a
that?
plane to do that, like to come down like that, that's like a move. Yeah.
You know
Yeah,
what?
it's almost like it stopped in midair almost, and then like, wow.
So listen to this. I have heard Donald Trump, when he was in his second or third year of being president, say that they're going to cure cancer, and that they have, you know, certain vaccines, like we're on a breakthrough, we're going to cure, and not all cancers, but certain types of cancers. And then Biden parroted the same thing. I don't know if you remember that, but they're like, we're going to cure cancer in my administration. There's something that's holding back people from releasing these cancer cures. And Trump ended up passing one of those bills, which was the right to try, because there's several things that the FDA is stopping, that if they release and just let everybody try, like it kills tons of cancers. Tons.
Yeah.
We could do a whole
Mexico,
episode on. Oh, go ahead, Jackie.
Just
Oh,
there's
yeah.
tons of people that go to Mexico to these places where they do like pure vegetable juice. They do like what's it called, shelling or whatever, like the metal detox, and their cancer cured.
Yeah.
There's actually like things to take. They can cure it. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, no,
they
we
can
need
cure
to
it.
do a whole episode on it.
Phenobarbital. It's a dog dewormer, and it cures lung cancer. And there's like a Facebook page with like 10,000 people on it, that like hundreds, if not thousands, of people have had like their pet, you know, their pet scans in stage 4 cancer, and they're just like healed. This one particular cancer, it's lung cancer.
That's
And
crazy.
I know somebody. The reason why I know about it, I'm so passionate about it, is I know this guy who did it, and he was stage 4, going out of it, and he did it, and it brought him back to life, and he's completely normal and healed now. Like,
Holy smokes.
Jeez.
just doing that one thing.
Wow.
I believe it, man. I'd have to do some more research, but I know it exists. I've read up on it a bunch of the guys who like argued with what is now the American Medical Association, you know, which the AMA wasn't even originally created by doctors. It was just like random people.
And have you guys heard that ivermectin kills certain cancers if taken in high doses?
Really?
No.
I believe it.
Yeah. And
Wow.
interestingly, it's also a parasite killer, which is that other thing, is a dog parasite killer. So
Very interesting,
Wow.
isn't it?
I was showing this one to Dave before we jumped on it. Let me go back to it. It says, Grandpa, what's a psyop? And then it's every single using this, bringing back the joy, joyful, joy. It's like that thing, Trevor, you said of like, they're weird, you know?
yeah.
Of the, oh man, this is awesome. There's
Yes.
every single news source. It's the exact
Absolutely.
same. Yeah, that
It's
one was annoying this
amazing
week.
how fake the
yeah.
love behind Kamala is. It's so apparent.
gosh.
It's like the most awkward thing in the world.
Oh, yeah.
That's
It is.
strange.
She's
So
just
strange.
like, she went from
Did you see the rally in
34% approval rating,
yeah,
37% approval at best, to people are just like, this is the best Canada we've ever had. She's so cool.
There's no
She's so
way.
hip. She's black. She's a
No
woman.
way.
She's amazing on the border. But you know what? She's come out with some policies recently that are pretty attractive that she just barely put out. Did you guys see them? $25,000 new home thing for giving
first generation immigrants.
For first time home buyers, and the no tax on tips, which Dave and I were talking also before you guys jumped in here of like how she's copying the policies too, you know.
Yeah, she has. She's copied some, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then they're doing debt forgivable on not just student loans, but medical debt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which would be wild.
I
don't know where it's going to get paid for, but
just like the other one, there's going to be an empty bag. That's what happens with the college debt. Nobody's paying for it.
Yeah.
That's such bullcrap, especially coming from somebody who paid so much for their medical student loans. Like, just to know that other people are gonna like get forgiven for that. Like, we busted our butts and sacrificed to pay those off.
I wouldn't pay taxes. I wouldn't pay taxes proportionate to that amount. Figure it out. Do it as a write-off.
No, it's a mess. I hear you, Jackie. I didn't do like you guys. Didn't do any medical, but Addison and I cash flowed, you know, all of college, and we took 2.5 extra years because like we're not going to do any debt, and it was a mess.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right, we should probably jump into it. The last thing I want to say, the best name I've heard for the monkeypox this week was Kung Flu 2. Monkeypox, Mpox, no, Kung Flu 2.
Dave was going to tell us about Tim.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if I was going to tell you about it, but I was wanting to
shoot
to open up the forum to it because we haven't talked about it, but it seems to have just like vanished. I mean, at least I haven't heard about it. But I started thinking about it when you guys were talking about those swingers, and it made me think just some thoughts about it. I'm like I had no idea what you guys' opinions were of this, but like I was a big supporter of Tim Ballard. I was a little disappointed that our church threw him under the bus.
Same.
I was like, what the heck, guys? And then I kept thinking, what did he actually do wrong here? Like, what did he really do wrong? Like, obviously, if there were, if he was being, what's the word I'm looking for? If he was being, I can't think of the word. It's not like infidelity, right? If he had infidelity.
If he was legitimately kissing and petting and maybe sometime, and even like dry humping and, you know, like to completion and stuff, like, is that enough?
Right. And I think it comes down to like him and his wife, right? It's like, anyway, I don't know. I was curious what you guys' thoughts were on this, but I kept thinking, I'm not sure what the big uproar was about. And I got a friend here in town, Eric Mutzos, who right from the start kind of jumped on the same page as the church and kind of threw Tim under the bus, which I was surprised in. I felt like I disagreed, but I kind of liked Eric's opinion most of the time. So I was like, maybe I'm wrong about this, but I kind of feel like if him and his wife have come to terms with it, shouldn't the rest of us stay out of it? I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts?
Yeah, I feel like people just don't want to be associated with somebody, right? Like these public people. So like Glenn Beck was very quick to do it and was an adamant defender of him as well. You know, Jeremy Rex, all these guys that are worried about image and not knowing the depths of it, and also having these women who came out, and until you read their affidavits, I read every single affidavit, every single one from all different lawsuits, every single one. Okay.
And I listened to them.
Yeah. And until you go through them and you see before them, it was very manipulative the way that they told Glenn Beck and Eric Mustos and Jeremy Rex. Like, they told them things and led them to believe that there was more than what there was. Okay. And they made it sound like it was like predatory and all this. No, these women were egging it on. They were so into it. They loved this. They were like DTF, begging him on. Some of them were like recently divorced or separated, and this was like they would let him come over to their apartment or condo when their kids weren't there, and like, you know, start getting into it. So he's screwed up, and you know, like that would be hard not to like fall down that trap, you know, like right. If what we believe about Joseph Smith is true, like everybody forgave that, and you know, we weren't quick to, you know, everybody threw Tim under the bus. And I just think my opinion on it, and then I'll shut up, is the women are equally as liable for everything that happened, and all of them should be treated the exact same way that we treated Tim.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, I kept saying this I had another thread where I was talking to some friends, and I kept saying, guys, they signed up for this. At any point, they could have said no. And I guarantee he would have respected that. At any point, they could have been like, whoa, this is too much. I didn't realize. There's a pretty reasonable thing they could have said to get out of that. So if things got to that point to where people are regretting what they've done, well, there's two people involved here. I don't believe he was forcing them in the way that they kind of try to make it out.
These girls were 50 shadings of gray this thing. I'm not kidding. They were like, he's saving children. We're gonna go into South America and save. Oh my gosh, they're just like romanticizing over this, and then he's like enticing them. We got to make sure that our pheromones are like, let's just breathe each other's necks and smell each other's pheromones. Now we can't kiss on the lips. We can do everything but kiss on the boobs. Cannot kiss on the lips.
Bro, what the heck? Oh man,
I'm glad we talked about this. This is a good
Jackie, tell me I'm wrong on what I read.
I thought that I read that. I didn't read that. I didn't ever hear that.
Did you read the couple's massages and everything?
I mean, it's been a minute now, but I must have not read.
There was a lot of stuff that was all consensual. They were all into it. These girls were into it. Okay. But he never, from all of it, sounds like he never, like, I heard one or two that he maybe kissed, but it wasn't in the affidavit. But there was no sex, and he shouldn't have been kicked out of the church. That was like really rash. Like,
right.
That really made me upset. I was like, holy crap, I would hope they would wait. And then did you see that she just came on another podcast? His wife 2 days ago. I listened to 3/4 of it, and she said when it happened, she called Ballard and said, have you heard what's going on? Do you know about this? And he says, I've not heard anything about it. Let me look into this and get back to you. And then I haven't seen the rest of the podcast. I don't know if he ever does.
Dang.
Wow.
It's tough, man. It's keep the commandments, kids.
I'm trying to get him to come on Zion Media.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be cool. Yeah. No, man. Well, where did Bigfoot come from? Wait, before we go, I want to get your opinions. Okay. Do you or do you not believe? Is he real? Is he not? I want Bigfoot to be real so bad, because that would be great. But
it depends on your definition of what Bigfoot is.
Okay.
So define what the possibilities are. And
so all right, Bigfoot, as pop culture recognizes him as like the hairy ape man that roams the
Gigantopithecus, like the lost hominid, something like that.
Something like that. So I guess there's like a couple theories. There's a couple theories, right? There's go ahead, Dave.
Well, let's vote on that one.
Well, that one that you just said, Trevor, I say yes, it could be some Gigantopithecus or something. Yeah. That's what
it's for our viewers. If you don't know Gigantopithecus, I will keep going. I'll share my screen.
But it's basically Shaquille O'Neal with fur, right?
If you're telling me that we have a lost species that we don't have any, skeletal remains for at all, and people are seeing these things, I don't think that's happening. I think those are made up, or they saw a bear, or the next conclusion, which is another one of the options, is what I would vote for. So no, I don't believe the Bigfoot is real.
Okay.
in the way that
Yeah.
that pop
Yeah.
society thinks it is.
All right.
Mhm.
What about Jackie?
I agree. I don't believe in Bigfoot in that aspect because just like you said, there's no bones for it. I believe in what there is bones for. What we have found bones for that fit that
Right.
description.
You believe in dinosaurs?
Which is
Giants.
what we have found bones for is giants. Exactly. Nephilim. Now that, Trevor, right? You thumbs up that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm more likely to believe that than some mystical thing.
Yeah. I think for sure. I mean, I don't know why there wouldn't be, if there's giants, there's record of it in historical works, and there's found bones and everything. I don't know why they wouldn't be in here in the American continent as well. So, and there's plenty of stories to back it up. So Jack, you've got some stuff. Where does Bigfoot first kind of originate? There are, there's a lot of different things. One of the earliest ones that I know of is there's some cave drawings that are found in, I believe it's in California, that date back 1,000 years that are called like the Hairy Man. And that's like the first, like the earliest evidence by Native Americans that I'm aware of. But there's other stuff as well. What do you have?
Of Native Americans?
What's that?
Of Native Americans only? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, or just in general. It doesn't have to be just Native, because there's a lot of cultures that like have history of.
Version
Yeah,
of it.
I think all of the cultures have giant lore.
Yeah,
right?
they do have giants. Yes, all of them. So okay, so it's the Tula Indian Reservation, and I'll show you guys. I don't know if you've ever seen this, the Hairy Man. Let's see here. Looks like this.
Sounds like Dave. Hairy.
Let's see. Where's my screen of that? There you go. So this is what it looks like right here.
Zoom in on that.
Yeah.
Original haunted house.
Yeah, right. So these are found in a cave in this Indian reservation, and they're dated 1,000 years back. And then there was some hieroglyphs to go with it too. It's called the Hairy Man, and this right here is labeled as like a young of whatever this creature is, or animal or whatever. This is.
I've never seen this.
Really?
I haven't seen this. I haven't seen this either.
Yep, it's
you
in
It's fine, Gash. Well, this is a drawing of a.
So
drawing,
it's found here. I'll search right here. Tulare. Here, let me.
Like this is the sketch.
Yeah, that's really cool. I've never seen that.
Share this tab and said Tulare Indian. Let's see.
There's a lot of Indian tribes, if you do research on it, that have a version of this type of creature. They usually call it a wild man. They describe it with long hair, but they have records of them trading with them. They were on terms, and they had like a trade. Yeah, they would trade with them. And they also said that they had like these descriptions about him. But one of the things they said, and you hear it from a lot of different places, is that they could throw their voice. Have you ever heard that?
What does that mean?
They could like copy sounds or make their voice sound like it was like somewhere else or something else. That
really
characteristic of these.
I've never heard that, but when we go to the Sierra tapes, that checks out so well. Huh. Interesting.
Wow.
Interesting.
So, and then you obviously have tons and tons of records of Native Americans that have been in war with these and like passed down, and their parents have told them how they've passed, and they've been in war for hundreds of years. And sometimes there's peace and sometimes it's war. And at the end of the day, they start cannibalizing. They hunt and kill them and eat them. And they describe them as giants. And most of them describe them as red hair.
Yes. Oh man. Well, there's a name for that one. Let's see.
So
like one of the really old stories. It happened in what now is like Idaho, right?
I don't know.
Maybe.
There's so many of them.
There's a lot of different ones.
There's a ton of news articles. If you were just like listening to this and you're like, I don't believe in Bigfoot at all. If you go back just on your own and you took like a half an hour to research old news articles, there are so many. This is before internet, social media, anything, where people have these reports. There's like, I pull them up, and if we have time, we can look at them. But one of them's like, a group of 500 men are out searching for blah, blah, blah on this day. This is like 1893, 1924, There's so many of them that spotted a wild man. The wild man's been stealing chickens, stealing their pigs, like so many. And you think, like, why would people report that back then? There's, you know, like, they're busy, they're hardworking. They're only going to be reporting these kind of things when it's a problem enough to be like, we got to do something about this. So it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. So one of the earliest ones that was like, you know, maybe they said it was a hoax, said it wasn't, is what's called the Bluff Creek incident. And there was a logging, I guess, operation happening around this place called Bluff Creek, and it's in California as well. And they found, that's one of the first places they found these prints, and it was these 16-inch prints in the mud, and they found tons of them. And some of them were, they said, were as deep as like 3 inches deep, the impressions. And supposedly the like a dozen or so employees quit because they were, you know, scared, and other people, reports were coming in. And there was if you go in and read about the Bluff Creek incident, you know, when the police come in and take, you know, all the evidence, they look at everything, they say, hey, you know, maybe this is just another hoax because there was a hoax, you know, a few months ago about this, but there's no corroborating evidence on that. Then they come out and say that it was the guy who owns the logging operation, that he was the one who, you know, bought these prints from this warehouse in Chicago and like brought him, you know, to do this prank. He's kind of a prankster guy. But it didn't check out because when they went to, you know, examine that, he was at his home in Oregon. And so the evidence didn't corroborate. And he was like, why would I lose employees?
Dozens of people quit because of footprints.
That's what they're saying, because like they got scared. I don't know. That's how the story goes. And then though, but here's the thing. So then like almost a century or half century later, like 50 years later, which is odd, I don't know why they do it then, his kids came out and they're like, yeah, we have these wooden feet that were our dad's, and he was a prankster. And that's where so it's odd to me that it took 50 years later for them to do it. And then they never would actually come forth with the feet to have them be analyzed. It's just like pictures and their claims. So that's one of the earliest evidence.
I wish you would have just told a real story. You just told us a fake one.
Well, it is it or is it not, right? But that's one of the earliest like instances where it hit national news, went big and became popular, and was called Bigfoot. That, and then also there's it's called the Battle of Ape Canyon, and that there were some miners and loggers that, you know, it was reported that they had this battle with what were essentially, they called them ape-like creatures, Sasquatches or giants, and there was rocks being thrown at their cabin, and they, you know, they called in the state troopers. The cabin was examined, and there was, you know, broken windows and all these things. They said, you know, they could have done it themselves, gotten drunk, but it's also, they also reported to have found footprints at that time. Those are some of the earliest ones that I remember. I really like hearing about it. So,
okay, well, I got my evidence to support why they might be giants.
Okay, let's see it, and then let's go into I have some evidence. There's the Sierra Sounds, I think is really interesting for the other theory. Go for it.
Okay. So this is going to be a few videos, and this first one is going to pull stuff straight out of the Bible that supports the Nephilim. For anyone who's not familiar,
I think your sound's off, by the way.
The Nephilim appear for the first time in the Book of Genesis. They were a legendary race of hybrid giants, the result of the unnatural union between fallen angels and human women. They existed at the time of the patriarchs Noah and Enoch. These giants terrorized the people and took advantage of their enormous size and strength to do whatever they wanted. And it is said that they were very evil and perverse. The Nephilim were very violent and with superhuman forces that...
Now, just one note, this is just the GPTs making these people giants.
Right, yeah, there's no way.
They weren't giants like this. They were, 8, 10, maybe 12 feet tall.
Filled the earth with violence and terror, leaving death and destruction in their wake. Besides being mentioned in the Book of Genesis, they are also mentioned in the Book of Ezekiel. The giants that terrorized the earth were destroyed by the wrath of God through the universal flood. Undoubtedly, we do not know so much about our past that it would not be incoherent to think that this legendary race of giants called Nephilim have existed and terrorized for a long time. It is even believed that these beings are still alive, asleep, or hidden from all of us. Comment your opinion and follow me for more.
ChatGPT's got some awesome graphics.
So I've talked to Jackie about this, but there's tons of evidence of giants in the scriptures. In the Book of Mormon itself, it's widely believed that the brother Jared and some of his people were giants.
Yeah.
the breastplate that Joseph Smith got that came with the Urim and Thummim and the little goggles, the reason we didn't use them to translate him, it was made for a huge person, and Hiram and Joseph both put it on it. They like dwarfed him in them.
Yeah.
And then, you know, there's writings of Enoch. The entire book of Enoch is about giants and these angels who came down and mated with women and
The Watchers.
all of this offspring that came off. And then one, you know, people are always like, well, how did it happen after the flood? Like the flood was supposed to kill them all. How did they survive? Where did they come from? Because they're back again. When Moses and Joshua are leading Israel out down trying to find their land, they start killing people indiscriminately, women, children, men, their animals, everything. And it was really hard to wrap your mind around that until you realize they're killing off these bloodlines. There are these polluted, perverted, you know, bloodlines that have this Nephilim gene in it. And super crazy when you go back and you read, you know, those breakdowns. But it made it to Goliath, right? David, you know, this is
right.
hundreds and hundreds of years later. And so where did these guys come from? Well, the one thing that I shared with Jackie that I found very, very interesting, there's a Jewish scripture that's in the Midrash that's not like their canon, but it's like they're apocryphal. And it's a story about a giant named Og, O-G. And he made a deal with Noah. The original OG. He helped Noah with some of the ark stuff and a lot of construction. And he kept begging Noah to let him come on. He's like, no. And he was like asking God if he could take him. No. But he was there when the flood happened, and he grabbed onto the mast of the thing, and he held onto it for the entire time, and he made it through. And Jews believe that, like that's in their scriptures.
What? That's wild, dude. I never heard that. I'm glad you brought that up because I was gonna say, you know, the caveat. A lot of people think like on my mission, you know, be like, oh, Cain, you know, Cain lives forever. And it's like, dude, nowhere in the scripture does it actually say he will live forever. Like, at least, and correct me if I'm wrong. If you guys know somewhere where it says that, but my understanding was that it never actually says he will live forever and that he's immortal or anything like that. But then there are stories.
Oh, I thought it said that he was cursed to walk the earth.
No, so I actually haven't pulled it up.
It says,
what's that?
What was Jackie?
I thought that it said that he was cursed to walk the earth for.
It just says, let's see, when thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth. Let's see. And then, it can pass you find. Okay. And then it says, so he's worried about, you know, people are going to kill me. And he says, behold, thou hast driven me out of this day from the face of the Lord, and from thy face shall I be hid, and I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. And it shall come to pass that he that findeth me will slay me because of mine iniquities, for these things are not hid from the Lord. And then the Lord said unto him, whosoever slayeth thee, vengeance shall be taken upon him sevenfold. And I, the Lord, set a mark upon Cain, lest any finding him should kill him. So that someone else wouldn't kill him, but they don't say that he'll. So it just says that he's shut out from the presence of the Lord. And yeah, it never says that he's immortal. That's my understanding. I've dug into it because I got into an arguments on my mission about it with some other missionaries. And I don't know. Maybe
there's a story.
Yes, go ahead.
There's a story about Tubal Cain and Lamech. And if you look up Tubal Cain, I believe it's in the Pearl of Great Price.
It's in Moses chapter 5. Yeah.
Okay. And what happens is, and there is a better version of this in the apocryphal book of Jasher. Okay. And so if you go and you look at Jasher, it's really cool because it shows Joseph Smith as a prophet, because Joseph Smith gives more details about it in Moses, but it's even less than what's in Jasher. And, you know, we don't even know if Joseph had access to Jasher, right?
Right.
So
probably not.
What the story is that this guy, Tubal Cain, was a masterful artsman, metallurgist, right? Very, very successful, even like made weapons of war and stuff. Very strong man, but he was blind. Okay. And so he was out in the field hunting with the assistance of this guy named Lamech. And when they went out, they saw something that they thought was an animal, and Lamech confirmed that it was, and Tubal Cain killed him. And when they came upon it, it was Cain. They killed Cain. And he was so shocked when he discovered that it was Cain that he said that he clapped mightily and it killed Lamech. And both of them were dead, just right there laying on the ground. And he then said, now surely am I, cursed with this same message. And he says, I've become Master Mayhem. And so there's a lot of interpretations from Master Mayhem. If you go into ChatGPT, go have a conversation to ChatGPT about, tell me who all of the people that think that they're Master Mayhem is.
Wow. That's a new one for
Very
me.
interesting. Yeah, that's interesting.
And you've heard that term, Master Mayhem, before.
Oh, yeah.
I know that rings a bell, right? But it goes deep.
Wow.
Wow. Crazy.
So there's
Cool.
the scriptural evidence for giants, which I agree with, completely. And then there have been bones that are found. There's plenty of stories if you go look up where the bones have been discovered, then the Smithsonian tries to cover it up, and hide it, and it doesn't want it to be in the public eye, because it would just disrupt the narrative and disrupt what everyone understands to be natural. So you're muted, Trevor. I'm on the edge of my seat.
We could do a whole entire episode on the newspaper clippings of the press releases in the early 1800s to like the mid 1900s of giants, right?
Yes.
Like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them, and they're fascinating. They're cool. Sometimes there's pictures, most of the time there's not. But like when we went on our family cruise to Catalina, I was telling everybody, I'm like, this is a hotbed of giants, and people were like, ha, 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 ha. I'm like, no, like actually giants, tons of them here, and lots of records of it. And in fact, the Ogden Standard Examiner was one of them in the late 1800s that published about the giants in Catalina.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. So let me show one of the next video, which is the second biblical conclusion of who this Bigfoot might be. Like if he's not Nephilim, if he's not one of these descended things and that Og guy or whatever, could he be this next one, right?
All right.
Okay, so let me share screen.
I like it.
I want to hear what you guys think's more likely, Nephilim or
grab the sound.
Anunnaki.
In mystery. Initially referenced in Genesis, they are depicted as the offspring of the sons of God and the daughters of men, possibly implying a union between heavenly beings and humans.
Creepy.
Described as heroes of old, men of renown, their true nature remains a topic of debate, with interpretations ranging from giants to powerful warriors. The intrigue deepens in the Book of Numbers, where the Nephilim are mentioned again post-flood, leading to speculation about their survival. This second reference, coming after the Genesis flood narrative, has puzzled scholars and theologians. Were these post-flood Nephilim direct descendants of the pre-flood Nephilim, or was the term used metaphorically? The biblical text is enigmatic, offering no clear answers, thus fueling ongoing debate and fascination with these mysterious figures.
Okay, that is one. Let's just have a quick little round robin on that.
Yeah, it's more on the watchers, and I mean that's how I always read, the sons of God and the daughters of men, or that's the mingling, and it messes people up.
The gospel take on that, though, is I could be wrong, so you guys correct me, but I think their take on that is it actually had to do more with the covenants, that those who had kept their covenants and not, like, that's kind of the gospel explanation of that, right?
I think that's like the general take. But then there's there's also there's some biblical scholars who theorize that maybe people left the city of Enoch and came down and in sin, and then that's where and because they were from the city of Enoch, their bodies were different because they had been essentially translated, and so then the outcome was giants.
Yeah, on the second time I have heard that, Cash. Yeah. And Enoch was the grandfather of Noah.
Right.
I don't know if he was great grandfather or grandfather.
You guys should do a Zion Media on after Noah, where did the other races of humanity come from? That's always
we're doing one on all of this Bigfoot giant stuff. So I'm
excited. Cool. You got that other one? Oh, go ahead, Jackie.
Oh, just something cool to say. So Dave Politis, he is the guy that does Missing 411, where he researches missing people that have disappeared in national parks. But he also has a lot of work on Bigfoot. He has these Bigfoot 101 classes, and he has the books, and they actually did their own research and their DNA tests, and they're still getting results back. But what they found is that most of the DNA tests for the year that people have done, they've said that they came back as negative, but that's not, if you like read the actual paperwork, that's not what it said. Most of them came back showing part human DNA, and they said, oh, it was contaminated. Instead of
I think I've read, where did they get where did the DNA samples come from?
There's like multiple different ones, but one of them that he referenced was like this lady who went out and she saw one like getting in her trash, and she called the police, and the police came and they were like searching for it, and they found some hair there, and they tested it, and it would come back with something like inconclusive, but the other side, it was showing that it was like partially human, and they were saying, oh, it's contaminated evidence, and so they would just throw it out. And because they were looking for an animal. But I
have seen that they've had trouble like publishing the evidence because people, like no one that's actually an accredited science journal will say, yeah, let's publish this. But it is really interesting.
It doesn't come back as animal, and they're like, oh, it's been contaminated. They won't even entertain the idea that it's probably some type of person.
Good excuse.
You ready for the next one?
Let's do it.
This is still more probable than an ape man. This is my second next to that.
The Anakim, or Anakites, were a formidable race of giant warlike people who occupied the lands of southern Palestine near Hebron before the arrival of the Israelites. Their ancestry has been traced back to Anak, the son of Arba, who was regarded as the greatest man among the Anakim. The name Anakim is said by some to mean long-necked or tall. Some scholars have theorized that the Anakim could be connected to the Anunnaki, celestial beings from ancient Mesopotamian texts. This connection suggests that the Anakim were descendants of these powerful cosmic entities, akin to the Nephilim, who dominated the earth in ancient times. When the 12 Israelite spies returned from exploring the Promised Land, they reported encountering people great and tall, identified as the sons of Anak. Overwhelmed by fear and perceiving themselves as mere grasshoppers in comparison, the Israelites rebelled and refused to advance into the land. Despite assurances not to fear the Anakim, the Israelites' lack of faith resulted in them being barred from entering the Promised Land, with only Joshua and Caleb as exceptions. Consequently, they were condemned to wander for an additional 38 years in the wilderness. During the conquest of Canaan, Joshua successfully expelled the Anakim from the hill country, and Caleb eradicated them from Hebron. However, a small remnant found sanctuary in the cities of Gaza, Gath, and Ashdod. This enduring legacy has led many scholars to speculate that the descendants of the Anakim may have included the Philistine giants David encountered, such as Goliath of Gath, possibly linking them further to the mythos of the Anunnaki.
Yeah, the story of the Anunnaki is really interesting. We need to do a whole episode on that too, because the Anunnaki is, it's super interesting. The story goes, in a nutshell, that they came here to the earth because they found gold. They needed to harvest the gold to save their atmosphere on their planet, which is really science fiction. But but it's strange that almost every culture in the world goes back to what, and checks out with what the Anunnaki story is. And a lot of it is written in like ancient Hebrew, Sanskrit, and cuneiform. It's an interesting
the
period.
12th planet, bro. Zachariah Sitchin. We should do a whole episode on that.
Amen.
I got a video sent to me through Zion Media of some lady that's like, you got to see this. And I think it was one of the ones that I texted out to you guys. That's like, we just discovered another planet, right? I sent that to you. Right? It's only a 12-minute video, and
I don't know, maybe
send it again. I don't know if I.
Yeah,
I don't know if I got that.
So many.
It's crazy. Okay, I'll send it.
I love the Anunnaki. That whole storyline with the 12th planet, that just really tickles, some part of me that likes conspiracies and that whole thing. Oh man, I'm into
both
that.
of these, they've discovered something that is coming in, and one of them is like, when they look at it, it looks like, it's like, the best way I could describe it is it looks like they're seeing the city of Enoch coming.
Yeah. Oh yes, you did send that. Yes.
Dude, that was intense.
It's wild.
It sounded super legit too.
So that checks out, because the story of the Anunnaki is that they will return, right? That's they will come back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so as we're transitioning, just to make sure I get through my videos here, this next one is a gem, ladies and gentlemen. Strap in, put this on full screen, pop in your headphones. You're gonna want.
Let's go.
So this is an LDS apostle, okay, and his name is.
This is the journal entry, right?
Yeah, David W. Patton. David W. Patton. He was apostle, and this happened in like the late 1800s. And somebody made this video, and it's like hilarious. It's like Stranger Things, kind of like 80s music. And
the story though is a real, like, he actually wrote this down. There's it's a verified journal entry.
First-hand account. Everything you're gonna see is word for word first-hand account. Yeah. And it's sensational. They've made it for like music and all sorts of stuff. So, but it's
like John Cullen's videos of the shooter.
But this is like 80s style. Get ready.
Yes. Oh, yes.
It was in the evening, just twilight, when Brother Patton rode up to my father's house, alighted from his mule, and came into the house. My family immediately observed that his countenance was quite changed. My mother, having first noticed his changed appearance, said, "Brother Patton, are you sick?" "I am," he replied. "But I've just met with a very remarkable personage." As I was riding along the road on my mule, I suddenly noticed a very strange personage walking beside me. He walked along beside me for about 2 miles. His head was about even with my shoulders as I sat in my saddle. He wore no clothing, but was covered with hair. His skin was very dark. At long last I inquired of him, "Where do you dwell?"
You're welcome. You're welcome. You guys, don't ever say that I'm not going to bring the goods.
This sounds so good.
Fire.
I'm the Wanderer.
Fire. It just keeps getting better. It's kind of creepy what he says to him. Listen to this. Seriously.
I travel to and fro. I am a very miserable creature. I've earnestly sought death during my sojourn upon the earth, but I cannot die. My mission is to destroy the souls of men.
About the time he expressed himself thus, I rebuked him. "In the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, and by virtue of the priesthood of God, I command thee to go hence."
Oh my heavens.
I found myself near your house. Brother Patton would go on to relate that the man had represented himself as being Cain, who murdered his brother Abel. Old Master Mayhem still roams the earth to this very day.
Oh, they use Master Mayhem.
And his blasphemous secrets. Or you will be in his power.
Or you will be in his power.
Oh, the video is
and hilarious. If you want to find the right story, it's Mayhem.
Okay.
But there's a psyop to replace Mayhem so that people don't find Mayhem.
Just duly noted.
That was hilarious. Oh my gosh.
So okay, so I think that's a good like kind of transition spot between like giants, right? And which is probably oh, yeah, that's what it looks like. Do I do that again?
Master Medicine. Okay, you do it.
Yeah. That's right.
That's awesome.
I rebuke you. I rebuke you. And dude, all of those pictures are so great.
Oh
my
man. Okay, but I think that's a good transition, right? So that's one theory we cover decently, and we need to come, I think, full circle to the Kandahar giant maybe at the end here. That's I think worth mentioning. But so there is the theory of maybe giants, still roaming the earth, and then there's the theory of like the ape hominid. I think that there's a good chance that maybe something in the middle as well, which would explain like the giants, whatever, that stay hidden or living in the forest, whatever, and how do they communicate and everything like that. Maybe that's what people are seeing. Can they stay hidden that well? I don't know. Maybe not. But then there's a lot of things that discredit Bigfoot as pop culture sees him. One is bipedal bears. I don't know if you guys have ever seen videos of bipedal, like black bears walking on their hind legs. Just in case anybody hasn't, that is watching this. This is one of my favorite ones. And I'll share this so you guys can see this.
I hope this is the one in California. There's one in California that has a spinal injury, and it can only walk on its hind legs, and it like waves to people in town, dude.
This is the one that like it's missing a paw. And hang on, wait, it'll stand right up. So you can see it's only on 3 right now. Oh wait, did I miss it? Oh yeah, right here. It stands right up.
Yeah. So, when you see a bear walking like that, it just gives you the heebie-jeebies. It's like,
yeah, it does. This lady's crazy though, man.
All the time.
Like, look at how dumb this lady is though. A bear walking on 10 legs or not, he like wraps around the corner and she's like, I'm gonna go meet him. She comes face to face with this black bear. The bear's like, oh, what's up?
Sneaky little guy. He's going to get in her hard drive or something.
So that's gonna be a no for me.
He's got a USB drive in his
That's what his hand is. So and that's one of the first things when I moved out east. I was like, yeah, Bigfoot's not real, because the forest, literally, like from me to my neighbor's house, if I'm in the forest, you can't see. It's that thick. It's that thick. And so, I mean, if something wanted to live and stay hidden, it could. But and then there's, you guys have watched Finding Bigfoot on Animal Planet that, aired like a dozen years ago.
I can't. That would be like me watching like the Beverly
It's hilarious, bro. I'll go Google, like, if I want a good laugh, like Finding Bigfoot best clips, and these people are out there and they're like doing the whoops and everything that they claim Bigfoot doing, like knocking on trees and everything. They say that's how they communicate. It's hilarious. Joe Rogan actually went out and lived with these guys for a while, like kind of in my backyard. Some of it was in East Tennessee, where they say Sasquatch is, and he came back and he's like, yeah, no, there's a bunch of kooks, like they're drunk,
talk about that. That's why he doesn't believe it anymore, is because they're just a bunch of crazies.
Exactly. Okay, so let me show you guys that maybe you've seen these, the Sierra sounds, they're called. So in the 70s, there was a couple guys who were hunters in the Sierra Nevada mountains who for a few years would go up to this spot where they would hunt. There was this private area. It's 9 miles, not from the nearest trailhead, but from the nearest trail, and it's at about 8,500 feet in elevation. And they would hear these sounds, and that they didn't know what animal it was. And these guys are like trappers, outdoorsmen, and they didn't know what it was. And finally, they decided to take up some professional audio equipment to record the sounds. And they're known as the Sierra tapes, because
you better be listening to them,
dude. I got them for you. It's awesome. This is my favorite. Like, when I listen to this, I kind of get goosebumps. I'm like, oh, this is cool stuff. So you can hear at some points they're talking back to the whatever it is that's making it. You can hear them whispering. And just as a note for you guys, these were analyzed by like professional vocalists and like zoologists, different things, and they say that they cannot pin them to any known animal.
Rain for night view.
Just wait. There's like some chatter.
Who's trying to talk to this?
Let's skip forward a little bit.
No.
Are the guys saying, like, mimicking them back?
Yeah.
Anyways, so it goes on. I'd encourage you to listen to the whole thing, dude. It's cool.
Text it to us right now, because, dude,
Okay.
there was the last time. I have video evidence of this. Okay, everybody should go back to our last video where we're asking Cash to text us something.
Oh, I did text it right then after you said.
No, you did not text.
I did. I'll
No, you
find
didn't.
it.
And you know what else you didn't text? You didn't text your Netflix show.
Oh, I thought that's what you're referring to. I did text a Netflix show. That's what I thought you were referring to that. But anyways, I'll send it right now. But anyways,
Guys,
I love those videos, and I love the fact that they were brought back and analyzed, and they were claimed that it couldn't be linked to anything in the animal kingdom.
That's creepy.
So, yeah,
I
they're
would
just
get
creepy sounds.
out of there. I would get out of there. I would
Same.
not come back with better mics. Like, and they're obviously, like you said, Jackie, they're banging on those things. They're getting them to bang back, and then they chant something, and then the people hear it and they try to mimic it back. But Jackie, the way that you said that they could throw their voice,
Yes,
that like immediately came to me like, oh, that's some voice throwing right there.
it's really, really interesting. That's
I feel like I heard about the analysis of this, like when they sent it to the whoever analyzes speech or whatever, that they were able to identify like patterns of sounds that like was linked. Do you know what I'm talking about? You can
Like
say
how
better.
wells they have like a language or a pattern, right? But they nothing that we know of.
Like animals wouldn't have that, but like an intelligent.
Yeah, and they also said that the frequency like that is being carried by it, our vocal cords can't reproduce that.
Or maybe yours.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard me say. Okay, I have another one, and then I'm coming on a hard break, so we may have to do like the missing 411. Like
Okay.
episode.
Yeah. Wait, what's yours on? Because I have my favorite like video evidence.
Okay. This is okay. 2 years after that, this is the Kandahar Giant, because this is this is a cool story to me, and it's 3 minutes. So I'm just gonna play the video.
Let's do it.
We didn't even do Patterson Gimlin.
I've got it. I've got that, and then I have the
screen shared.
No.
Okay.
I have the Patterson Gimlin one, and then I have the Great North documentary.
Is that the new one where he's like standing behind the leaves and his lips look like they're made out of wax?
No, that one's fake. The Great North documentary is the one where like the elk are like getting out of there, charging, and then you see like what you're like, what are they getting away from? And you see it in the background. It's cool.
Okay, so we can keep going. I just have to run and pee, but
yeah, let's play the video and go take a piss, man.
Mr. K claimed he saw the giant carrying a spear and murdering a United States soldier named Cain before he and the other Special Forces members took it down. The killing of the giant, Mr. K said, took place during the height of Operation Enduring Freedom in 2002, when the military was engaged in fierce battles with the Taliban in their de facto capital in the Kandahar province during the U.S. invasion of Afghanistan. Giants. Human-like beings of tremendous size and strength. Fairy tales, such as Jack and the Beanstalk, have formed the modern perception of giants as stupid and violent creatures, sometimes said to even eat humans. Giants have appeared in many ancient texts, including the Bible. In the Book of Genesis, giants are named the Nephilim and are descendants of fallen angels and human women. Genesis 6:4 reads, "The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterwards, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they bore children unto them. These were the mighty men who were of old, the men of renown. Around the turn of the 20th century, the New York Times, London Globe, and the Scientific American published articles reporting the discovery of gigantic human skeletons, concluding that the remains were sent to the Smithsonian for further study. But the fact that this evidence was never again seen or reported continues to elicit questions of whether the Smithsonian destroyed or hides giant skeletons in order to cover up an inconvenient anomaly in the archaeological narrative we've been told. So are giants real, or were they just...
I'll stop there because I mainly just wanted to show the Kandahar giant story. But there's some good videos. If you go in, you got to search through some crap. But there's like a really long 8-minute video of him. He was estimated 1,200 to 1,500 pounds, and he had red hair. He had 6 fingers and 6 toes, and he had this log that he had sharpened into like this 12-foot pole that was like 6 inches round, and he shish kebabbed the guy straight through his chest. And then they started shooting him, and they all had to concentrate on his head. And after, he said it was like 25 seconds, once they started shooting him in the head, they killed him. And they brought in a helicopter, and they strapped him up with these straps. And based off of the straps, that's how heavy they knew he was. And, you know, they had to know like payload on the helicopter, everything. The netting had to be the right weight. Yeah. So he was 1,200 to 1,500 pounds.
The red hair is common theme, right? Across all like recovery of giants from tombs. I'm pretty sure the Brewer's Cave giants had red hair.
Yeah, and 6-digit. And do you know in the Bible it mentions it 2 or 3 times that they have 6 fingers?
Yeah, I remember that.
2 or 3 times in the Bible.
Interesting.
In the mainstream Bible, not in like Apocrypha.
Yeah.
In Jasher, it talks about giants. In Enoch, it talks about giants. In Ezekiel, it talks about giants. Like, we're just like forgetting it.
I believe it. So the most famous, Jackie, you mentioned the most famous kind of Bigfoot video of all time.
The Patterson Gimlin footage.
Yeah, exactly. So we can watch that if people don't know.
So Dave Politis does one of his Bigfoot classes, and they had this like analyzed and stuff, and they said that this actually looks like it's a female.
You guys, can we all vote and agree that Jackie's the biggest want to believe it?
I wanted to. I have an enhanced version of it. I'll pull it up right now.
I think Jackie secretly believes and she won't admit it.
Hey.
No, I believe in the giants, and I believe that could still be them, like hiding up in the mountains for sure. I believe that.
Okay, so here's the footage analyzed. Oh god.
Look, he says she has breasts when she turns and walks.
Yeah, I have a couple friends that have that level of breast, though.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. A lot of
guys.
It needs to be noted, though, right, that when this was captured, they were going to try and film a Bigfoot. Like, that was their mission. They thought they knew where they were. They went out to try and find him. And so it's like the video is interesting, but it's been analyzed by tons of different people. It's probably like a 70-30, 70 weighing that it's fake, 30% weighing that it's not. There's testimony of people who said, yeah, I made the suit and I shipped it to them. There's people who say, no, it was staged. Then there's people who analyze it and say that's not. They had to do analysis of how an animal would walk. Is the arm length long enough? Would the joints be able to move that way, or the way the arms are swinging if it was an upright ape?
Yeah, so they had to really measure the gait. Yeah, so if anybody ever sees this video in the future, I'll deny it. But I might start a company that's called Bigfoot Breeding Program and take vulnerable, elderly, divorced, and widowed women into the woods and attempt to mate with Bigfoot.
Shouldn't have admitted that on camera.
We probably need to edit that out. But if they're gonna top dollar for it. You know, like,
We're keeping it in there, dude. I had someone text me last week, bro. And it's like, I love Trevor's impersonation of Stephen Hawking.
oh man.
Oh my gosh. I found the most epic Stephen Hawking AI video the other day.
Yes.
He's
I'm
like
gonna send it to him.
racing. He's like racing against race cars. I got to find it for you guys. So
okay, last thing of this I want to show. This is my favorite current, where I'm like, okay, this is interesting. I could, I maybe I don't buy it, but it's interesting.
oh my gosh, we got Bigfoot right here.
Scary. Who is it?
Oh, I gotta
my
stop sharing my
God.
screen.
Oh my goodness.
Wait, get over here, Bigfoot.
Come back.
Get over here, Bigfoot. Come here. Now you're full.
She had her face poking through the door like that.
Oh, really?
And I like,
Awesome.
what the heck?
Natalie, come back.
She can't hear. Sorry. She's already gone.
Okay, this is from the documentary called Great North, and let's play it, see if you guys find him. Turn on the sound. Oh, there is no sound. Sorry.
Yeah.
You see it?
Yeah. Right
Right
there.
here?
Yeah. Drop
back it up again.
Pop back up.
Yep. Pop up right here and go back down. It looks kind of fake.
No, I thought that looked real.
But
does it show more than that?
That's a little funny to me.
The thing that's interesting though is that like when apparently this is, I'm just claiming, but from what I've read and heard, I remember I've actually watched the documentary, but they don't know why like the elk or the caribou, it's caribou, not elk. They don't know why they were freaking out and like what they were running from. And then you have that one right there. And then do you guys remember the clip of the train in Colorado that ended up being a ghillie suit? We can watch that one really quick too. This one's fun.
There were people waiting for the train and they were in a Bigfoot suit, right? And
they're on right there.
That was a great one. I was excited about that.
I just squatted down.
There. So.
I got a good Bigfoot story to maybe end with. When we were in Washington, my friend who owns all those Pirate Cove and properties. He's got a property in Washington that's on this peninsula, and it's like 1,200 acres from bay to ocean. And in the middle of it is this deep Washington forest. And there's the most amount of black bears in the entire United States per square foot is up in this area. And he's got this network of trails that he's built for these four-wheelers to drive up and down in. And there's lots of legends up there of Bigfoot, and there's like restaurants with Bigfoots and all this kind of stuff. Well, we're driving back one day to the house from eating downtown in Long Beach, Washington. And there's this 10-foot Bigfoot, hairy mammoth thing on the outside. And he pulls over and he goes in, he negotiates to buy it. And then he tells Brandon and I to go back with the truck and get it. And so we go back. This thing's freaking massive. We had to get like a box truck. It's like a
wooden or
it was like it looked real, and it had real hair and eyes and
like a taxidermied almost.
Yeah, and it was pretty heavy. It wasn't like extremely heavy, but probably like more plastic than anything, right? But it looked real. And it was a stocky, just hairy, scary looking Bigfoot. And we ended up convincing him to let us put it on the four-wheeler trail around a bend. Right? They have nothing but guests that come to the property. And they ended up having it there for like a year and a half. And there was like 4 crashes, like complete crashes where people just, some of them didn't get hurt, but some of them were like really destroyed the vehicle. And so they put it back in on the property.
That's crazy. So I have one too. I know we were saying on that, but I thought of it when you said that. So my dad tells it better, but it's a story that he heard
about that.
Yes, you know it. He tells it better, but it's a story that he heard growing up, or on his mission or something. But anyways, and I don't know where it is. I don't know the details. Like I say, he can say it better. But in a nutshell, it's in the early 1900s and around Utah. And mind you, my dad is, you guys know, he is not a conspiracy theorist. Like he doesn't buy anything, right? With this, so he's getting better in a lot of ways. But he's just a logical thinker. It's how he operates. I don't blame him. But one thing that brought it up is because he would be out on the Navajo reservation, and the Navajos buy Bigfoot hook, line, and sinker. Like, they believe it. You don't talk about it around them. You know, it's like talking about skinwalkers. You don't do it because they believe in it, and they say it's bad. Anyways, so the story goes that these guys are out hunting, and they shoot a deer, and the deer, you know, they miss the shot, so it wounds the deer. It doesn't kill it, and the deer takes off running, and they're following the deer for a little bit, and they come up through this, you know, this forest and up over the hill. And as they're coming up over the hill, following where the deer was, it starts to stink like real bad. Just like they're putting their, you know, shirts up to their nose and cloth trying to cover because it just stinks so bad. And they come up over the hill, and they see the deer downed that they had shot, and something's hunched over it. And what is, you know, they claim to be a Sasquatch, is hunched over it, and it kind of looks back at them, picks the whole deer up, just throws it on its shoulder, and just boom, is gone in like a couple steps into the trees, and it's gone. And that's the story. And then after it's gone, the smell kind of dissipated. And yeah, and it was some LDS guy, some guy who tells the story. Is kind of interesting.
That's the best story. That's way better than my story.
Yeah.
We end
I
up
love
with
it though.
Real one.
Yeah,
Real one.
Yours had real crashes.
Real.
Anyways, well, everybody, thanks for coming into the Conspiracy Corner. We're glad you were here. If there's a topic you'd like us to cover, let us know, and we will make sure to take care of it. Sorry if this one's a little bit all over the place. There's a lot to cover in this, and probably each, you know, the Giants, Kandahar, everything deserves its own episode. Missing 411 for sure. We'll get into that and take care of that as well. Anything else from you guys? Last thoughts? All right. See you guys in the next one.
All right.
In the heart of Zion, where the truth shines bright, we gather the stories, bring the shadows to light. From the ancient prophets to the visions anew, we're here to explore, to learn, to renew.